there, welcome to my mint garden that you can see right here. I'll give you a quick tour, but today I wanted to focus on dehydrating herbs, but now I'm going to start freeze drying these instead of spending my entire fall dehydrating the mints. And so I'll show you how I do that in the freeze dryer, what it looks like when it's done, and why mints. I love mints because of their digestive benefits. They don't have any caffeine in them, but yet they're a great source for respiratory energy, different things like that. And so I love brewing them in the evenings for tea, for something hot to drink before I go to bed. Last fall, I actually installed this garden bed, and you can actually watch all of my garden videos on this channel as well on how I've developed this raised garden bed setup and what I've been planting in everything. And so mints are one of my favorites. And so this year I actually planted apple mint, and it is just humongous. You will be surprised when I start harvesting this, how much plant material is here. And then I have my chocolate mint, which is actually starting to tip over. So I'm gonna be really cutting these back, and I see that they're starting to get flowers on them. So I definitely wanna harvest them before the flowers. Then here I have the mojito mint. And then down here a little bit further, I have the orange mints. And so those are definitely a different texture than the mojito, so it's kind of nice. And then I have just my plain peppermint down here. I do have mixed in here some pineapple mint, but unfortunately it is not doing well competing against all of these other mints. So maybe we'll find it once we start cutting these back so that we can get them in the freeze dryer. So here is just my apple mint harvest. Now we're gonna go ahead and get this washed up and see how many freeze dryer trays it's gonna take to freeze dry all this mint. So here I've set up my workstation, and I just wanted to show you some of the mints that I have done already. And I have the orange mint, the peppermint, the chocolate mint, mojito mint, and apple mint. And that's all I've dehydrated so far this year. So this is gonna be so exciting to see this entire crop get blended up and then freeze dried, and how many jars I'm going to end up with. I could probably actually now give some tea away as gifts. So here I'm just pulling off the leaves, trying not to get too much stem, as I would prefer the taste of the leaves. Once I've got it in the blender, I added water and then continued to chop it up, and then I just poured it on the freeze dryer trays. The water on it will just kind of help hold those leaves down. And I did notice in the freeze dryer that I didn't have a lot of leaves that ended up blowing around the freeze dryers. Now it's time to add my frozen mints to the freeze dryer. So as you can see, they're quite hard and frozen. So we've dropped our temperature on the freeze dryer to the 90 degrees for the dry time. So let's see how long it takes to dry fresh herbs. The apple mint is all dry. Now to crush it, add it to a Mylar bag, and seal it up for when I'm ready to use all this for teas. Then when it comes time to make tea with your freeze-dried herbs or dehydrated herbs, I like to actually heat my water up in one of these electric kettles, and then I use this because it holds my tea at the bottom. So even though this teapot has that filter inside, sometimes I notice my tea stays floated to the top in there. So this keeps my tea to the bottom, and then it can brew, and I can pour it in the fridge in a mason jar to cool it off if I want cold tea, or I can just drink hot tea. So whether you want to use fresh herbs, dehydrated herbs, or freeze-dried herbs, this is a really great way to make that tea quickly.